Our planet, a breathtaking tapestry of serene landscapes and delicate ecosystems, holds within its core a power that is both creative and devastatingly destructive. We often walk its surface, lulled into a sense of security by gentle breezes and warm sunshine, forgetting the colossal forces that churn beneath and swirl above. But every so often, the Earth reminds us of its untamed spirit, unleashing its fury in displays that defy our comprehension and command our absolute respect. Today, we journey to the very heart of this raw power, to witness moments when nature's gentle hand transforms into a clenched fist. Brace yourselves and fasten your seatbelts, for we are about to confront some of the most unbelievable weather events ever captured on camera. From skies torn asunder by lightning to waters rising in an unstoppable deluge, these are not scenes from a disaster film. They are real, visceral encounters with the planet's formidable might. Each clip is a testament to the fragility of our own existence in the face of such overwhelming force. This exploration is not just about spectacle, it is about understanding the world we inhabit and our place within its grand and often violent cycles. As we embark on this awe-inspiring journey together, I invite you to become part of our community of explorers. Subscribe so you don't miss out, and let's explore together the wonders and terrors of our world. Your perspective is invaluable, so as you watch, drop a like and share your real feelings in the comments below. What have you witnessed? How did it make you feel? Let the conversation begin. Imagine a sky, once a brilliant canvas of blue, suddenly consumed by an advancing wall of impenetrable grey. The air, moments before still and warm, grows heavy, charged with an unspoken threat. This is the prelude to the storm. It begins not with a roar, but a whisper, a sudden gust of wind that rustles the leaves with an urgent, almost fearful sound. Then, the first drops of rain, fat and cold, strike the ground like scattered pebbles. The world seems to hold its breath, poised on the precipice of chaos, a silent tension before the onslaught. Then, the full fury is unleashed. The heavens open, and the rain descends not in drops, but in solid sheets, blurring the world into a watercolor mess. The wind howls, a mournful, predatory cry that seems to tear at the very fabric of the landscape. It is a force of pure, kinetic energy, a physical presence that bends mighty trees and screams through the slightest crack in a window pane. The sky, now a churning cauldron of black and purple, is swallowed entirely by the darkness, erasing the familiar comfort of daylight and plunging everything into a premature, terrifying twilight. In this maelstrom, the mundane artifacts of human life are rendered utterly insignificant. A line of clothes, hung out to dry in the earlier sunshine, is violently ripped from its moorings, the garments becoming helpless flags of surrender, swept away into the churning abyss. Everything not bolted down, everything we consider a part of our daily order, is tossed and torn asunder. The storm does not discriminate. It is a great and terrible equalizer, a raw demonstration that in the face of nature's rage, our control is merely an illusion, easily and completely swept away. Water is the giver of life, the gentle sculptor of canyons, and the nurturing cradle of civilizations. But when its equilibrium is disturbed, when its natural pathways are choked and its guardians are felled, it can become an agent of profound destruction. Flash floods are not merely rising water, they are a sudden, explosive release of accumulated energy, a liquid battering ram that surges through valleys and plains with terrifying speed. They are a stark and immediate lesson in consequence, a direct response to the pressures we exert upon the delicate balance of the environment. We see here the result of that broken contract. Where once great forests stood, their roots a complex web anchoring the soil and absorbing the rain, there is now barren land. The trees, which acted as immense natural sponges, are gone. And so, when the rain comes, It is not gently absorbed and filtered into the earth. Instead, it sheets across the denuded landscape, gathering momentum, soil, and debris. It carves new, angry paths, transforming tranquil streams into raging torrents in a matter of minutes, a powerful and tragic reminder of what we have lost. This muddy, churning deluge is the Earth's fever breaking. It is a system pushed past its breaking point, desperately trying to purge itself of an imbalance. As the water engulfs roads, homes, and everything in its path, it carries a clear and urgent message. The health of our forests is inextricably linked to the safety of our communities. To harm the environment so profoundly, to strip away its natural defenses, is to invite these consequences to our own doorstep. We are not separate from nature, we are a part of it, and its fury will inevitably become our own. In the vast and varied landscapes of northern India, communities have for centuries lived in a rhythm dictated by the seasons, particularly the life-giving, yet sometimes ferocious, monsoon. But what descended upon this region was something beyond the memory of the living, an event that would be etched into its history as the worst in half a century. A superstorm, a meteorological titan, formed and gathered its strength, preparing to unleash a deluge of almost biblical proportions upon the unsuspecting valleys and mountainsides below. The rain that fell was not merely heavy, it was relentless, a continuous vertical river pouring from the sky for days on end. The ground, already saturated, could accept no more. Rivers, the arteries of this land, swelled and burst their banks, their waters no longer contained, but spreading out in a vast, destructive sheet. The force of the water was unimaginable, a liquid bulldozer that scoured the landscape, tearing away soil, uprooting ancient trees, and transforming the very geography of the region in a terrifyingly short span of time. For the people living in its path, it was an apocalypse. Homes, built with a lifetime of labor and filled with memories, were not just flooded, but completely washed away, erased from existence as if they had never been. The water cared not for brick or mortar, for hopes or dreams. It took everything. The immediate devastation was catastrophic, but the pain it left behind is a deeper, more lasting wound. It's a pain etched into the faces of the survivors, a scar on the collective memory of a people who witnessed the full, devastating power of a wounded climate. In the deep, ancient forests of northern Wisconsin, time is measured not in hours or days, but in the slow, patient growth of trees. Some stand as silent sentinels, having witnessed centuries of changing seasons. There rings a hidden chronicle of history. One such giant, a patriarch of the woods, stood tall and proud, its branches reaching towards the heavens like gnarled arms. It had weathered countless storms, its deep roots a firm anchor in the earth. But on the 9th of September, it would face a force against which its age and strength were no defense. The sky that day was a tumultuous canvas of bruised purples and angry greys. The air crackled with immense electrical potential, a tension building towards a violent release. Then, in a single blinding instant, the sky ripped open. A bolt of lightning, a jagged spear of pure plasma hotter than the surface of the sun, descended from the clouds. It was not a glancing blow. It was a direct, catastrophic strike, choosing the ancient tree as its conductor to the ground, a conduit for its cosmic rage. In that fraction of a second, the tree's fate was sealed. The colossal energy of the lightning bolt coursed through its trunk, instantly boiling the sap and moisture within its cells. The result was a dramatic, explosive rupture. The ancient wood, which had stood for generations, was turned into a giant, flaming matchstick. Flames erupted from its core, consuming it from the inside out, a towering pillar of fire in the heart of the forest. It was a shocking, brutal spectacle, a testament to how, in a single flash, nature can reclaim what it has spent centuries creating. The waters off Key West are often a playground, a turquoise expanse where power and speed meet in a thrilling dance. Here, speedboats, marvels of human engineering, are designed to slice through the waves, to conquer the water's surface. On this day, a race was underway, a high-octane ballet of roaring engines and shimmering wakes. The boats, sleek and powerful, skimmed across the sea, their drivers focused, adrenaline coursing through their veins, pushing their machines to the very limit of their capabilities. The spectacle was one of controlled power, of man's dominion over the machine and the sea. But the ocean is not a passive racetrack. It is a living entity with moods and whims of its own. In the churned-up wake of the racing boats, the water became a chaotic field of white waves, unpredictable and treacherous. For one speedboat, moving at an incredible velocity, a slight miscalculation or an unexpected swell was all it took for control to be lost. The delicate balance between speed and stability was shattered in an instant. The boat's nose lifted, catching the air, and suddenly it was no longer a vessel on the water, but an object in flight. What followed was a scene of pure, unscripted chaos, a moment straight from the most dramatic action movie. The speedboat soared into the air, a multi-ton machine suspended against the blue sky for one heart-stopping moment. Then, gravity reasserted its authority. The boat slammed back down into the churning white waves, not gracefully, but in a violent, tumbling flip. It cartwheeled through the water, shedding parts, its powerful form mangled and broken by the very element it was built to command. It was a brutal, spectacular fall, a vivid illustration that no matter how powerful our machines, the sea always has the final say. There are nights when the sky is not a peaceful, star-dusted canopy, but a battleground. On this particular night, the darkness was absolute, a heavy, suffocating blanket that seemed to press down on the world. There was no moon, no starlight, only an oppressive blackness that hid the familiar shapes of the landscape. The air was thick and still, charged with a palpable sense of foreboding, as if the world itself was holding its breath in anticipation of some terrible revelation. Something was gathering its power in the unseen heavens above. Then, the first flash. It was not a single clean bolt, but a sprawling, chaotic web of intense lightning that seemed to tear the fabric of the sky apart. For a fleeting moment, the world was illuminated in a stark, ghostly white light, every detail thrown into sharp relief. But it was what the lightning revealed within the clouds themselves that was truly terrifying. The light didn't just come from the sky, it backlit the churning storm clouds, silhouetting a form of monstrous proportions. In that split second of incandescent light, the roiling clouds took on a horrifying shape. It was as if the lightning had briefly exposed a colossal, hidden monster lurking in the darkness above, a vast, unknowable entity made of shadow and storm. The intricate patterns of the lightning strikes resembled synaptic flashes within a giant, celestial brain, or the sinews of a great beast stirring in its slumber. The spectacle was both beautiful and deeply unsettling, a glimpse into a cosmic drama that made one feel profoundly small and vulnerable, a mere spectator to the wars of gods. Tornadoes are honestly one of nature's most focused and violent expressions of power. They're born from the collision of atmospheric titans. When warm, moist air meets cool, dry air in this volatile clash, it sends the atmosphere into a spin. What starts as a subtle rotation high up in the storm clouds, called a mesocyclone, can seriously ramp up fast, dropping a funnel cloud toward the Earth. It's this moment of terrible creation, the birth of a vortex that links the sky and the ground in a column of furious, destructive wind. As the funnel touches down, it becomes a tornado, and, well, the true scale of its power is totally unleashed. But this was no ordinary twister. It was a massive, dark behemoth, a churning pillar of cloud and debris that just dominated the horizon. It spun with this mesmerizing, yet honestly horrifying velocity, like a colossal drill bit sent from the heavens to carve into the very surface of the planet. The sound it made wasn't just wind, but a deafening roar, a mix between a freight train and a jet engine that vibrated through the ground and the air itself. With breathtaking force, it moved across the landscape, leaving a path marked by utter annihilation. Everything it touched, trees, buildings, vehicles, was effortlessly pulled into its vortex, shredded into unrecognizable fragments, and thrown for miles. The ground beneath it was scoured clean, leaving this raw, ugly scar upon the earth. To witness something like this is to be totally humbled by the sheer, raw physics of the atmosphere. It's a spectacle of terrifying beauty, a rotating engine of destruction that operates on a scale that just dwarfs all human endeavor. In our modern world, we're surrounded by batteries, small, unassuming packages of stored energy that honestly power pretty much everything in our lives. Lithium batteries especially are everywhere, and they're prized for their efficiency. But, we often forget about the volatile chemistry that's sealed up inside those metallic casings. A factory that's dedicated to making these power sources is, in a way, a warehouse packed with controlled potential explosions. On this day, though, that control was lost in the most dramatic way you could possibly imagine. A catastrophic failure was about to happen, and someone was actually there, camera rolling, ready to capture the moment. Boom. I got it. The words, spoken with a tremor of shock and awe, honestly punctuate the moment of detonation. A massive explosion erupts from the factory, a violent bloom of fire and force that sends a shockwave shuddering through the ground. The initial blast is a blinding flash of white-hot energy, followed instantly by a roiling fireball that climbs into the sky. The sound is a physical blow, a concussive force you actually feel in your chest, even just watching a recording. This isn't some special effect, it's the instantaneous, violent release of immense chemical energy. The aftermath is just pure chaos, a scene straight out of a blockbuster disaster movie, but wow, terrifyingly real. A colossal plume of black smoke and dust billows upwards, completely obscuring the sun and casting a pall over the landscape. The air is thick with the acrid smell of burnt chemicals and plastic. Dust and debris swirl in the turbulent air, making a gritty, choking fog. The sheer scale of destruction is staggering, honestly. A powerful and visceral reminder of the hidden dangers lurking inside the technology we so casually take for granted. Utterly terrifying. The streets of Englewood, like any suburban neighborhood, are lined with the familiar infrastructure of modern life. Power poles, strung with a web of cables, stand as silent sentinels, channeling the electricity that hums through our homes. They're so commonplace that, honestly, they just become invisible, part of the background scenery. We trust them implicitly to do their job safely and reliably. But on this occasion, one of these ordinary poles became the stage for an extraordinary and, honestly, pretty alarming spectacle. Without any warning at all, the top of the power pole just erupted. It wasn't a simple spark or a short circuit. It was a dazzling, violent explosion of light and energy. Kind of like a fireworks show happening just feet above the street. Arcs of brilliant blue and white electricity shot out in all directions, sizzling and crackling with furious intensity. Molten metal dripped like fiery rain onto the asphalt below. The display was both beautiful and terrifying, a raw electrical storm brought down to eye level, turning a quiet residential street into a hazardous, electrified war zone. But what could cause such a dramatic failure? It wasn't a lightning strike or just a basic equipment malfunction. The real reason is something way more common, but rarely seen with such explosive consequences. Take a guess. It was, in fact, a squirrel. The small creature had managed to simultaneously bridge the gap between a high-voltage line and a grounded component, and its body instantly became a conductor for thousands of volts of electricity. It was a total freak accident, a bizarre intersection of wildlife and high-voltage technology, resulting in a shockingly powerful and dangerous street-side spectacle. There are moments when the weather just stops being a collection of individual elements, wind, rain, clouds, and instead merges into one single, overwhelming entity. It's a state of total sensory assault, where the world loses its familiar structure and just dissolves into a blur of motion and sound. Nature, it seems, has decided to switch to a different operational setting, one we might honestly call world spinning mode. The very air becomes a physical weapon, a force that moves with intent and, honestly, aggression. The wind, in this state, isn't a directional force. It doesn't blow from the north or the south. Instead, it comes from all directions at once. A chaotic, roaring vortex that just envelops everything. It shrieks and howls, a primal scream that drowns out all other sound. The rain doesn't fall, it flies horizontally, driven by the gale with the force of tiny needles. It's a disorienting, bewildering experience, where the fundamental rules of gravity and direction just seem to have been temporarily suspended. In this maelstrom, everything gets caught up in a violent, chaotic dance. Trees aren't just bent, they're thrashed, their branches whipped back and forth in a frenzy. Loose objects become deadly projectiles, tossed around with reckless abandon. The world is reduced to spinning, churning chaos, a washing machine of wind and water. To be caught in something like this is to feel utterly powerless, a tiny, insignificant speck caught in the gears of a vast and indifferent planetary machine that's suddenly been thrown into high gear. As the roar of the wind finally subsides and the images of destruction start to fade, we're left in the quiet aftermath, with the echoes of nature's awesome power still reverberating in our minds. We've journeyed through raging storms, witnessed the vengeance of floods, and stood before the raw energy of lightning and fire. These moments, captured through a lens, give us a privileged, yet humbling glimpse into the untamable forces that shape our world. They remind us that the serene beauty we so often enjoy is just one face of a planet that holds a deep and formidable power. The first time I witnessed nature's fury beyond imagination, storms, earthquakes, and tsunamis blending into a chaotic symphony, it reminded me of just how small we really are in this vast universe. It was an experience that, honestly, fundamentally changed my perception of our place on Earth. It gave me a profound respect, not fear, but a deep, abiding reverence for the intricate and powerful systems that govern our existence. These events aren't random acts of violence. They're part of a complex, interconnected web, and we're only one small, fragile thread. I encourage you to carry that feeling of awe with you. Find a quiet place, relax, and get ready for today's fascinating journey to continue within your own thoughts. Contemplate the power you've seen and our relationship with it. There are countless more stories this planet has to tell, countless more wonders and warnings to explore. Don't miss out on our future explorations into the heart of the world. Thank you for joining me.